Good morning, curl friends. Thank you so much for joining me for this installment of Curl Friend Chronicles. And today, curl friends, you are definitely in for a treat. Thank you to everyone who is joining me. I'm looking forward to getting into this discussion with each and every one of you because I think this is something that we definitely need to talk about. And so I'm looking forward to getting into this curly conversation with my curl friends. If this is your first time joining us, I am Dr. Crystal Cunningham, clinical pharmacist, transformational curl care specialist, and the founder of Bold's Culture Beauty. And it is my mission to help curl friends just like you save time, build confidence, and make natural hair care easy. And so today, as part of me paying it forward, I am going to help you get to a place where we can approach natural hair care differently, where we can approach natural hair care with the right tools and the right mindset so that we can actually get to where we are supposed to be on our natural journeys. And I do see that my special guest is here, so I'm going to invite her up. And while I'm doing that, our same struggles, even though our stories look different, even though our journeys look different, a lot of us may encounter some of the similar or same things on our journey. And so part of me paying it forward is to actually get us to a place where we can normalize the struggles that we have, appreciate our journeys, but then also become equipped and empowered with the tools that we need so that we can actually be successful on our natural journeys. And so today, part of me doing this is bringing my friend, y'all. I've known her probably for a long time. But again, you know, me and introductions, I never give anybody justice. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, but I am so blessed and so honored that she agreed to do this with me and for all of us guys, because as we're here today, I think this is going to be something super important that she is doing for us, that she is helping us do, that is really going to help us change the game when it comes to natural hair care and kind of change the way we approach it, change the way we view ourselves, and put us in a way better place where we can actually be successful and whole on this natural journey. So I'm going to allow my friend, Dr. Natasha Thomas Moore, to introduce herself. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then when you're done, go ahead and let us know what you love.
Okay. You can hear me well?
Hair.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for having me, Crystal, and followers and viewers. I'm Dr. Natasha Thomas, and I'm from Daytona Beach, Florida. I am a psychiatrist who has had 13 years of experience now as an outpatient psychiatrist. I focus on women's mental health issues, things that have to do with reproduction and PMS and menopause, but I also love to do and help people get free from trauma. That's like I feel like one of my callings in life. And so right now I run a telemedicine practice in the Metro Atlanta area and also Florida, actually. I also have some patients in Florida. And so, you know, my main focus in my work with my patients is to help them live the lives that they want to live. That's my goal. You know, I don't want to push forward any agenda for anyone that's not what they want for themselves. But if there's a life that you want to live and you find that you've got all of these obstacles, whether it's based on mood, anxiety, self-concept, which is what I think we'll be talking about a lot today, whatever it is, I just want to help move any obstacles out of the way so that you can live the life that you desire and you can fulfill your purpose. So I think that's pretty much a good intro for me.
No, I think that's a very good intro because I think part of us on our natural hair journeys is getting to the point where we are trying to live the life that we want to live. I know I had another girlfriend on a few weeks ago, and she said that she had decided to go natural because she wanted to be herself, uninhibited, 100%. And part of living the life that you want to live is actually coming to terms with being the person that you need to be in order to live the life that you want to live. And so it all starts with that mindset shift that understanding that in order to live that life, I need to be the person that I want to be. And for some of us, that includes us starting this natural journey, us going through this natural journey so that we can actually be who we want to be on this natural journey. And so before we get into that discussion, thank you so much for introducing yourself. Now, please tell us what you love about your natural hair.
So I went natural in September. I was thinking about this morning because I've been natural for a long time. I went natural September 2000. I was a senior in college. And so it's been, 20 plus years, 20 plus years of kind of like trying to understand and embrace my natural hair. And the journey has definitely been like really interesting. So what I love about my natural hair is its versatility. I love personally about my own hair that like, if a hair sheds and I happen to see it, it makes a perfect coil. I think that's so cool. You know what I mean? If in a hairstyle, if I put it in a style, it typically just stays in the style. You know what I mean? Like those are some things I like about my hair. I had it, I wore it out in twists and then had locks and then locks out and back to twists again in different styles, wearing, wash and go, all these different things. And I realized when I had my hair like locked for a long time, I was like, I miss being able to feel the texture of it and the curls and this and that. So I think that it's really, it ties me to who I am as a person. It ties me to my family and my heritage. I love that my hair is jet black, like when it's healthiest, it's super dark, it's super coily. I just think it's, it's cool, it's versatile, because then if I want it to be something else, it can be. So I love it. Yeah.
No, and I think that's really dope that we can appreciate our hair in its current form and then its ability to kind of move and be flexible with us through our different stages of life. And so I think that is something that is really dope. The versatility, our ability to change our hair during different stages of life, and then when we love it, it loves us back. And so I think that is something that is truly, truly amazing. And on my natural journey, one of the things that I learned or that I realized through this whole process of me transitioning to natural, of me getting to a place where I was comfortable and confident on my natural hair journey, was that our identity was a big deal. And I think we kind of know that in life anyway, that identity is a big deal, but then I don't think we often recognize how much our hair is a part of our identity until we get to a place where our hair doesn't look right, and when our hair is not doing what we want it to do, or when we've transitioned to natural and now we have this hair that we don't feel comfortable with because we might not know how to care about it, or because society tells us that it's not beautiful, or because our family has thrown around words like nappy, or because we had an experience in a salon chair where we sat down thinking that we're going to have this amazing experience, and then the things that we remember are all the things that went wrong, or even when a stylist says something like, "Oh, your hair is so thick," or "You have so much hair," we don't necessarily always think about what those words do to us, or do to the person that we're saying them to. I know we might think it is a positive thing, like, "Oh, your hair is so thick," but when you're sitting in a salon chair and that's the comment that you get, or that person isn't equipped to take care of your hair the way you thought they would be because they were a professional, then that kind of leaves a stain on you through that natural experience. That kind of dims your light on that natural journey. When you are trying to transition to natural, or when you've started embracing your hair and your hair doesn't necessarily look like the model's hair on the box, or the other girl in the advertisement, and you're using all the same products, that kind of leaves a stain on you through your natural experience. When your parents or your mother or your father sometimes labors through doing your hair, and there's all the sighing and the complaining and the tears because they're not approaching it the best, or they're doing the best that they can, it definitely leaves a stain and an imprint on our natural experiences, on our hair care journeys in general. And so what I want to do is really help us kind of reframe those situations and get to a place where we can better appreciate our natural hair, where we can better appreciate our natural journeys, because I realize that all of those things set the tone for how we step into this natural situation. Even if we decided that we wanted to love our hair, even if we decided that we wanted to embrace this natural part of our journey, we've carried all of these negative misconceptions. We've carried all this negative thought and talk with us unknowingly, sometimes, a lot of times, and we normalize it by saying, oh, well, my hair is nappy, or we normalize it by saying, well, she has good hair, or maybe I have good hair, or they have good hair, and we're not realizing that we're perpetuating the trauma. And so I asked you to come so that you could help us get to a place where we can ultimately live our best selves and reframe some of those things, so that we don't have to be in a position where we are thinking negatively about ourselves, and it's affecting, one, the way we show up, because identity is a big deal. Our hair affects our identity, and it definitely affects the way we show up in every aspect of our lives. And so I want to equip people to be their best selves, to live their best lives, and to shed some of these negative misconceptions. So what is one thing or one technique that you can probably share with us that would help us get to a place where we can let some of that go, so that we can approach this journey not weighed down, and get to a place where we can be our best,
honestly, I love that you said reframe, because being able to put a reframe on negative thoughts, which a lot of times are distorted thoughts, is one of the most powerful things that we can learn to do across the board when it comes to your self-image, first of all, and then anything tied to it, whether it's relationships, work satisfaction, etc. So specifically when it comes to hair, in general, I take an approach. These thoughts come from cognitive behavioral therapy, what I'm going to talk about today. And so basically what that is that you're looking at unhelpful or unhealthy thought patterns and unhelpful or unhealthy behavioral patterns or responses, catching them and reframing them. The power of it is that we have found that a lot of research has indicated that if you're feeling negative emotions about a topic, if you're able to take a little pause and think, what am I thinking? Take an inventory of what you hear playing in your head, then a lot of times you'll find that, okay, well, for instance, it was wash day today. I did my hair. I have all the products. I watched the tutorial. This should come out like this. And it came out like this. And right now in this moment, I feel frustrated. I feel ashamed. I feel, because, some of those root issues with us, are really deep, where you're like, okay, I wanted it to have this kind of hang and it didn't. And now I feel ashamed because of all the societal, standards and everything. So then you can say, okay, well, what am I thinking? I'm feeling ashamed and frustrated, embarrassed and sad and whatever else. What am I thinking? I'm thinking my hair's not good enough. I look ugly with my natural hair. I wish I had hair like so-and-so. These are all thoughts that can come in automatically, and obviously they sound negative, right? And then what I encourage people to do is ask yourself, are the thoughts that you're having that are negative, are they helping you in any way? Are they true? Or is there a little bit of a distortion? Are you looking at it in black and white? Are you saying basically this one curl isn't doing what I wanted to do, so now the whole thing looks ruined and I hate my hair? Or are you thinking of it jumping to conclusions? When I go out, everybody's gonna think I look ridiculous, and that's, you know what I mean? Are you feeling totally missing the positives that you have there? Okay, maybe this particular style I wasn't able to execute, but my hair is super healthy and my coils just bounce back, which is a sign that they are healthy. So it's you have to go through your thoughts and say, are these distorted thoughts? And if so, what's a better way to look at it? How can we put a different frame on it? So if it's a thought about basically my hair is horrible, I absolutely hate it. The real root reframe, I believe, is that you have to be able to say, the way I feel about my hair is largely dictated by messages that I receive from society, and that those messages we soak in by the time we're 2 or 3 years old, super early, even if nobody you know, directly says it to you. You just absorb it because of all the messaging in our media and conversations that you do hear family have and all those kinds of things. So that when you're saying like, oh, I feel bad about how this came out, what you really have to say to yourself is, I've been programmed this way. And I know that the process of, you know, re-educating myself might take some time. And that's the process that I'm in right now. So it's being able to, I think, catch negative thoughts when they happen, see if you can look at things a different way, a more rational, realistic, positive way. Get yourself to believe it, because you can come up with different thoughts, but if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. So you have to keep working on that. And then you take an inventory and say, you know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it in that way, I don't feel as badly as I did earlier about how, you know, the look or whatever it is.
No, and I think that's really, really important because one, we are receiving messages about natural hair. Some of them are overt, some of them are covert, but we're receiving them on a daily basis, which is why I try to make it my mission to, one, demonstrate, to tell people that natural hair care can be easy, but then also to demonstrate it, to not only show people when my hair is perfect, but also when I have missteps and side steps on my natural journey as well, because the reality is nobody's hair is always perfect all the time. Nobody's hair looks its best every day. Y'all see me take that shower cap off. Y'all see me take that silk scarf off. My hair is not always amazing, but I do try to show people, one, that it's okay not to have it perfect. It's okay not to have everything together. It's okay to have executed a style with all the right products, with all the right techniques, and to not get the results that you desire. And one of the things that I try to push for them in that reframing, look at the positives, learn from what happened in the situation. You don't have to throw all the products away. You don't have to throw the hairstyle away. You don't have to throw the experience away. What can you glean from this experience that you can use and apply the next time? And so I've tried to demonstrate that through this platform, both Culture Beauty, through what I'm doing on this platform. But I think we have to grant ourselves a certain level of grace because we're not going to get it perfect. My hair doesn't always look good. Truth be told, if you see me switch my styles more than once during the week, that's because I might not have liked the way it looked. I might have executed a style and then it didn't come out exactly how I wanted to, but then I also prepared myself going in knowing that based on my hair, maybe the products I use, the techniques I use, that I could expect a certain thing to happen, and I was already planning to make the appropriate adjustments. And so I think it's very powerful that we that you pointed out to us that reframing and then realizing that we've been conditioned or programmed to feel a certain way about our hair from a very young age. And we've been carrying those things when we've been carrying those things throughout our lives, through our different stages of our hair care journey. And now that we're here and it's easy to fall back into that place where we don't feel our best about our hair because we've been conditioned to think that way instead of seeing our hair and the beauty that resides in us, regardless of what other people think, regardless of what other people say. And I think we have to build up our mind in that way so that we can approach natural hair care better. So what are some things that we can do to build our mind to have a more positive, or even to be able to reframe in those situations? How can we get to a place where we can think better about our hair and essentially take our power back on this journey so that we aren't constantly stuck in this negative mindset?
Now, I know this might seem a little bit tricky to do, but it's hard to be in a positive space if you're surrounding yourself with negativity. So or if you're doing a lot of comparisons. So, you know, you might have to take a little bit of a break from immersing yourself in looking at, you know, images that just reinforce your feelings of being not good enough or your hair not being good enough. Meaning, if you know, my hair is 4C all day, every single part of my head is 4C. Okay. So if I was having a struggle with that at different parts of my life or whatever, sitting there and looking at hair that's 3 typing or whatever and just longing for it, being angry that I don't have it, that's not going to help my situation. And if you find that, that's where you are, you may need to do a little imaging detox where you're not looking, because our society right now is completely overloaded with images. And you may need to just take a step back and not do that to yourself so much. Meaning, and this is something that I used to do earlier on in my natural hair journey, once YouTube became a thing, because when I first went natural, it really wasn't. But then once it did, you would see people with different types of hair doing a style, and I would somehow like flip it in my head that I could make it exactly like that, even though intellectually I knew that that was not possible because it's different types of hair. So if you find yourself in that space, take a step back. If you are, I mean, we can't remove people from our family and, friends and things like that, but say you do have some people that you talk to a lot who always have something not so great to say about either your natural hair or others, you may need to take a little step back from that too, specifically while you're trying to build your strength in this journey. And then I think too, we need to like reorient our thinking about appearance in general, because, we, especially as Black women with natural hair, that's like I would say probably our main body image issue. You know what I mean? But body image problems are pervasive, especially for women. And so, you might have to look more at the functionality of your hair and find ways to say, like, what are the, like you asked me at the beginning, what are the things that you love about your hair? Because I think there's a problem with thinking like, when my hair looks good, I feel good. When my hair looks bad, I feel bad. Or when I feel like my style isn't where I want it to be, then I feel bad. I think it's better to be neutral on these things and to say, when I want to make sure that my hair is healthy, it's clean, my scalp is healthy, and also clean. If I need to see a dermatologist or somebody who, specializes in hair and that kind of thing for a concern, that I'm taking care of that part of it. And then I'm looking at the things about it that I like. How well does it function? If I like versatility and styles or whatever, focusing on that kind of thing, meaning more like what your hair can do and being in awe of it, as opposed to trying to like whip it into submission and be like, do this style and look like this. So, those are probably like 3 things that I would consider doing to help your mind kind of get in a better place, so that when you try to like challenge those negative thoughts that pop into your head, I bet if we ask people, like, start typing in like your negative thoughts when you deal with natural hair, it would be, we probably all know them because we probably all hear them. We've grown up in this, same society. Right. So, in order to be able to catch those thoughts and talk back to those thoughts like you're not really true, or you come from this place, first you got to remove yourself from negativity and celebrate the functionality of your hair.
And I think that is so good. So, curl friends, if you would, those of you that are on here, what are some of the negative what are some of the negative things you may have encountered or heard about natural hair care? Because I think we have come from, we all live in the same society. So if you drop some in the comments, maybe we'll look at ways that we can reframe some of those negative things that you drop in the comments. But what I think is so rich is, one, you basically almost quoted everything that I put in my book. It could all be so simple. But if we want to take our power back on this journey, one of the biggest things that we can do is to know our hair better. You become the expert on your hair. That way, nothing that society says, nothing that advertisements say, nothing that anybody else says really about your hair holds more weight than what you know to actually be true. So build that bank of knowledge about what you know can actually happen with your hair. How should your hair look, feel, and behave? You're the expert on that. Understand that. Learn that and realize that, and that's a huge step in taking your power back. You said be neutral on it, not if you look good you feel good, or if I look bad I feel bad, but hey, this is my hair. I had a little misstep. I can recover, but I'm still going to be the best version of me that I can be, regardless of how this hair is looking. I'll get me somewhere where that look can be comfortable. I can be comfortable going out with that look. I'm not saying I'm never saying you have to go out with your hair looking crazy. Get it somewhere where you can be comfortable with it, but then don't let that hair dictate how you move in any space. Don't let that hair dictate how you feel about your hair. One bad hair day doesn't mean you got to throw all the hair away in general. And one bad hair day, with the right approach, can be salvaged and turned into something really amazing. But learn more about your hair. Be the expert so that you know what it should look like. Be neutral on when it looks good and when it looks bad. I know we be feeling ourselves sometimes when the hair's right, the fit's right, when everything's right. We get a little pep in our step. We get a little bit of a glow. I know, but then you can't let the opposite of that cause you to get to a place where you can't be that same bomb person you were the day before. And the thing about cleansing what you look at, I think, is very, very, very important, because truth be told, I did, for a different reason though, but I did like the things you receive when you're looking at images, when you're those things can have a significant effect on your psyche, on your mental state. And comparison is horrible. I call it a dream killer, because, or even like you're dimming your potential by always consistently comparing yourself to someone else, to something else. Be you and be the best version of you that you can absolutely be. And when it comes to natural hair care, part of being the best version of you is being the expert on your hair, being able to learn more about your hair. And then I see Janina saying learning to let go of perfectionism was a huge game changer in accepting the beauty of her hair. And I think that is key. And I keep saying this, especially about platforms where we are able to see influencers or other people style their hair. The goal of those videos is to show you the most perfect version of what is going on with their hair, right? The goal of what we see in advertising is to show you the most perfect version of a style that those products can execute on hair. So they're going to be very intentional, one, about the type of hair that they choose, about the aesthetic of the person that they choose. And we cannot let those kind of things dictate how we feel about ourselves. And I think now we are starting to see tighter curls. We're starting to see less perfect styles. We're starting to see things that aren't always perfect, but you have to put in a little bit of effort to look for those things. And so if it requires you shutting some things down, if it requires you unfollowing certain people, if it requires you to kind of put some blinders on to the things that can take you to a negative space or a dark space or make you feel like perfection is necessary, then let it go. Wouldn't you rather be whole and happy and miss some of that stuff than to let that stuff dictate how you actually feel about yourself, about your hair, and about your journey? So I think every now and then a good little purge or cleanse or letting go, cutting back of some things is necessary and appropriate, because you really need to protect your mind and your mindset when you're going into these things, and you don't want the way you feel about your identity or your hair or any other aspect of your life to keep you from getting to a place where you can be your best self. And so I think that is really important. And I think that, curl friends, when it comes to your natural hair journeys, when it comes to being able to get to a place where you can be your best self, we're just going to have to be really intentional about what we're receiving, the messages we receive, the stories that we tell ourselves, the things that we feed on from social media, from our friends, from culture, society, all of those things, because we have to do a better job of protecting our minds in order to be exactly who we were called and purposed to be. And so, curl friends, I didn't see anybody drop. Thank you, Janine, for dropping your comment. I didn't see anybody drop any negative thoughts. But here's a word that I think now carries probably some different meanings now. But when I was growing up, people always said you had nappy hair. When my hair was relaxed and I had my little kitchen in the back, because I did wear a pixie cut, it was always what people considered to be the roughest, the worst part of my hair. Oh, you got to get that kitchen done. That's why we going to get our hair laid in the back every week, probably doing way more damage than we actually were doing good. But our hair was looking slick back there, almost like we had good hair. But nappy is like this term And even good hair is like this term that people always throw around to like reference hair being better or worse than something. So what is a way, like when we encounter this idea of good hair, or when we encounter this idea of nappy hair, how can we reframe that, and how can we take the sting out of that so that that is not something that we're carrying, or and we're not out here trying to prove that we have good hair, which we have established is healthy hair anyway. So how can, well, I kind of just did it, but how can we reframe those terms like good hair or nappy that have caused a lot of pain, I think, when it comes to natural hair care or just hair care in general?
I have some very, very good girlfriends from med school, and we have like a little group we talk in, you know, chat or whatever. And all of these particular friends that I'm talking about are from the Caribbean, and they all happen to have like looser curl hair. So I guess, you know, people will call 3 type somewhere in their hair. And so I was just curious to see how they felt about their hair, because for where we grew up, at the time we grew up, their hair would have been the desirable hair. So I said to them, I said, hey, so I'm going to be, you know, talking about this. And what did you, when you guys decided to start wearing your natural curly hair for the first time as an adult or whatever, how did you feel? Were you like scared? Were you intimidated? And across the board, they felt the exact same way that we did. Like, it's a problem. And I was shocked, because I was like, no, you don't understand. You've got the hair. Like, what do you mean? But they were like, you know, it was very difficult. They got the identical, and these friends, just for reference, are from Jamaica, Haiti, and the Bahamas. And, you know, the idea was the exact same messaging. These curls are a problem. If it's not straight, it's a problem. And it's the same kind of, it's not professional. It's not attractive, which blows my mind, but it's not even pretty. You know, it needs to lay down and behave, basically. And so I think one of the things that we can do when we're battling that good hair thing is to remember that this is something that has happened to us universally as Black people, and Black women especially, and we're not alone in our struggle with that. And so that, you know, when you're feeling like, I'm really struggling, know that the next woman is feeling the same way, and that you need to big yourself up for the courage that it takes to do it, and that you should big up other women too when you see them out there. Like, I love when I see people out in public and they're like, I love your hair. And I'm like, I love yours too. Like, keep doing it. Because I know what it, you know, that feeling of being able to do that, and know that, like, that particular day, she really may not have been feeling her hair, but she was trying, you know, with the courage to be out there. So I think that sometimes we have to, you know, you always have to encourage yourself, and you cannot rely on society to hold you up emotionally, because it will let you down every single time. So the one thing to remember is that this is a universal thing for us as a people, that across the board we have all felt defective, and that is by design. That this is not even our thoughts. Like, we wouldn't have had these thoughts had we been in a different place in time. And to, like, to support congratulate yourself and support each other as much as you can.
And I think that is very important. Community actually is very important when it comes to anything that you have going on, because sometimes we can say things to ourselves, as evidenced by today, that aren't true, that aren't helpful, and that push us further away from whatever our goals may be it on our natural journey, be it on our personal journeys. And so the power of community, or the power of realizing that you are in this thing alone, is one, normalizing the struggle, and then also realizing that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to figure this thing out by yourself. You don't have to feel isolated, or like, all of us have bad hair days. All of us don't always feel the most amazing about our hair. All of us have wash days that go left. All of us have tried products that didn't necessarily do what they said they were going to do, that probably will never do what they said they were going to do. All of us have seen a model or seen something and been like, dang, that hair is beautiful. Why can't my hair do that? And I think we, again, that whole grace factor, that whole grace piece, we need to be able to grant ourselves some grace on this natural journey, because when we aren't alone. This whole thing that I'm doing is to show people that they are not alone, that struggle normalize the struggle. Don't be ashamed of it. Normalize it, learn from it, support one another through it, and then empower yourself with the skills and the tools to actually be able to make natural hair care easy. And I think we forget a lot of times, especially when we are looking inward or judging ourselves, we forget that we aren't the only ones always in the struggle. And so I appreciate a lot of times, all the times when I'm on my natural journey that sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get this person off of here, but I don't know if I can.
Let me
Oh. But we can appreciate in community the normalization of the struggle. We can appreciate in community that we don't have to struggle alone, but then that there are also things that we can learn from our girlfriends, or even when we support each other, that can get us to a place where natural hair care becomes easier. And I think that is very important to when you see your girlfriend out there and she doing her thing and she looking good, yes, big her up. When you see other people that may be struggling and you have something that you can help them to get past that struggle, share it with them. That's the whole reason I'm here, because I understand how our identity and hair has gotten us to this place, and I just want to help people get past that hump, get past that situation, and get to a place where natural hair care can be easy. And I think it is interesting that we have all been conditioned to think the same way about our hair, no matter if it was what we might have considered good. Even the good hair wasn't good enough when it came to society, when it came to people's perceptions and misconceptions about our level of education, our level of professionalism, our ability to enter rooms and execute. The hair on my head has nothing to do with my ability to be able to look at prescriptions and tell you which one is right and which one is wrong. The hair on my head has nothing to do with your ability to sit down with a woman and help her through trauma, or help her to deal with these different stages or changes in life. And I think that, yes, our hair is a big part of our identity, but we have to be able to separate the way our hair looks from our abilities to perform, so that we can show other people, listen, this ain't got nothing to do with the way I chose to wear. This is my natural hair, i.e. this is the way my hair is growing out of my head. It has nothing to do with the way I work. So, like, check your insecurities at the door and let me be myself and do what I need to do, because this hair doesn't mean that I'm any less professional. It doesn't mean that I'm any less knowledgeable. It doesn't mean that I'm any less awesome. And then I did see that one person was saying that their hair is their superpower, from the root to the tip. And I think we do have to build a love relationship with our hair. And again, that starts with learning more about it, creating an environment where it can thrive, removing the things that cause us to feel less than, that might affect us on that journey, and then getting to a place where we can celebrate and celebrate our wins on this journey, because sometimes things work out better than others, but then also having the power to learn from the negatives. And so what are some things that we can do, like when we have those missteps on wash day, when we have those situations where our hair doesn't always come out the best, when we aren't feeling our best about our hair, what are some things that we can do, or how can we learn from those negative experiences to get to a place where we can add that to our toolkit of being able to overcome those tough days on our personal journeys?
That's a great question. I think if you have a day that, because you know how I don't know if you are like this, but I remember distinctly from being young and in school, and if you had a day where you felt like either your hair messed up, or my worst thing was like I forgot my earrings. It was like, I just feel like I cannot be seen like this. Like, oh my goodness. But the thing that's so wild is how much it can really color your entire day. Your mood will drop. You feel insecure. You can't present the way that you want to. You know, in certain settings like school, you know, may not even be able to concentrate and focus because you feel just that self-conscious and insecure. So I think that in general, if we're talking about hair or other areas where you're feeling like the way I'm presenting to the world today feels less than how I want to show up, you've got to find the self-compassion. Like, you've got to find a way where you can say, hold on. Like you said, the essence of who I am really has nothing to do with any external presenting factor about me. This is a, genetic lottery. This is just how we were made. You know what I mean? This is really nothing at all to do with our character and spirit and that kind of thing. And so, sometimes when I hear people really talking down on themselves, I say, would you say that to somebody else? Would you see somebody else in the position that you're in today and say that? If not, then don't say it to yourself. Why? Because it's just not kind. It's not helpful. Right. And because the brain lays down tracks related to thoughts. So the more that you think a thing, the more that you will think that thing. And so even if you, that's why I tell people, even if you don't believe it in the beginning, you have to start reframing and being positive, positive, positive. So the brain will learn, oh, this is the new thought habit she wants me to use, and go in that direction. So, lots of compassion. I also heard this idea that I thought was kind of interesting, which is that, what would it be like if you were giving a message to your younger self about your presentation? And if we're talking specifically about hair, like, what would you say to your younger self about, taking the leap to be natural and being on that journey? Would you be like, your hair looks a mess. It's going to look a mess, and you're going to feel ridiculous, and you're going to hate it and want to perm it or straighten it or do something. Like, you wouldn't do that. So you need to make sure that the messages that you let yourself sit with are things that feel, you already know if you're not doing the best with your thoughts if you start feeling badly. If as soon as you feel that drop, you have to say, what am I thinking? And you'll find it in there if you take the time to take a little bit of an inventory. So lots and lots of self-compassion minutes a day. For me, for the most part, it's like if a hairstyle just did not work out, an Afro puff is always the way to go for me. That was my thing. I'm always like, well, it's a bust. It's just going to go back to the Afro puff. At least I can do that. So some days you might just have to Afro puff it or whatever it is and call it a day, but be kind to yourself, because life itself is hard enough. You don't need to put on top of that there's something like, inherently defective about your hair because a style didn't come out, Yeah.
No, and I think me and the Afro Puff have been best friends for a very, very, very long time. If it don't work out, I'll be like, listen. And now I figured out how to like put my hair in a slick ponytail. So I'm like, oh, if it don't work out, I'm gonna slick it down. If it don't work out, I'm gonna do all kinds of things. And the reality is, one, that is the beauty and the power of my hair, because when it didn't do what I thought I wanted it to do, I had another option. So we're never out of options. We might not be able to rock that wash and go that day or for a full week like we wanted to, but that doesn't mean that everything is lost. That doesn't mean that we don't have everything that we need to still be successful that day. And that doesn't mean that we have to like throw everything, our whole experience away because we have that, that negative experience. Sometimes it'd be more than one, sometimes it'd be a sequence of negative experiences. But I think it is key and important to remember that we do have to have that self-compassion. And so I like what you said about, even if you don't believe it, start reframing and saying the positive things, because then we're training our mind in the direction to go. And it just makes me think of like the consistency is important, especially when it comes to caring for your hair, but then also when it comes to reframing and to thinking about our natural experiences differently, to thinking about our hair and its beauty differently, and to that when we can build that muscle of reframing, build that muscle of creating a positive environment for us to learn and grow, build that muscle of creating our own internal safe space for ourselves on this journey, that we'll actually get to a place where we feel better and feel different about our hair, where we can be neutral about when our hair looks good and if our hair happens to look bad, and where we can take our power back and not allow the misconceptions and the negative thoughts and the societal interactions to drain us to the point where we are confused about how we actually feel about our natural hair, or where we are letting this natural hair dictate how we show up in rooms, how we interact with ourselves, how we feel about our hair, or how we even approach other people, or how we hand down the misconceptions that have been handed to us. Yes, we can struggle on our natural hair journey. Yes, we can have days that are off. Yes, we can have days that put us in a weird space, but it is up to us to reframe those. It is up to us to empower our minds. It is up to us to seek out the positive representations that can help empower us and affirm us and put us in a position to where we actually do build the muscle to feel better about ourselves, where we actually build the skills to be the expert on our hair, where we're actually taking care of our hair. If we put as much energy into loving our hair, from a mental standpoint and from an actual practical standpoint, we would be surprised at the actual results that we would get when it came to our natural hair journeys. And then I see that Roxanne says she never does her hair when she's busy or upset, so it won't add to the emotional dissatisfaction when it doesn't turn out right. And I think that's valuable in and of itself, because when our emotions are already on a 10, we do not need to add any other external stressors that might put us in a place that will cause us to spiral. And I think that it's interesting because one of the things that I actually love to do is wash my hair. So when I am stressed, I will light a candle. I will use the daylight only and light that candle. I will hop in the shower. I will let that water pour on my head and I will wash it. Now, granted, I might say, yeah, I'm not finna go for no wash and go or no elaborate style. I'm about to put it in the puff when I get out, or I'm about to slick it down when I get out. But I think we do have to find out what that thing is for us that can ground us and bring us back to a place where we do feel good about ourselves. For me, washing my hair is I absolutely love to wash my hair. I love it. I guess I really like to be in the shower. I don't really know, but I love it. Is my space. I can pray in there. I can cry in there. I can sing in there, and Lord knows I cannot sing in public. So
I love that. I love that. I always, wear a lot of twisted styles, and like to Roxanne's point, like sometimes I'll be like, I have this thing coming up. I really need my hair to be done by this time, this day or whatever. And then I'm like, don't do it to yourself, Tasha. It's too late. You already know how this is going to go. It's 10 o'clock. You're going to be crying. Like, don't do it. And what I started doing too was as my hair, started growing out, it just took longer and longer to style it. I was like, well, maybe I should break the process up into a few days as opposed to trying to, force it all in one night. And then I haven't eaten dinner. I'm yelling at my family because I'm mad because it's not done. Yes. I know I'm gonna have to wake up early. I'm going mad. I wake up, my pillow is still wet. I'm like, this is just a disaster. So I really, I like that point. But I do like also that you said about, giving yourself, I would even say like immersing yourself in positive images about natural hair. And, one thing that is always so like affirming for me is when I see like anything that has to do with hair science back in Africa and look at how like elaborate the art. It's art. It's a true art. And I'm like, we need to really get back in that headspace to be able to celebrate it. Your head, is sacred, first of all. And second of all, like all of the things that we can, have done with our hair, do with our hair, or the whole like, there's like priesthoods even of like hairstylists. It's like, it's a big deal. It's considered a ministry. So that for us to be here and being like, I hate it. It's like, it's just so displaced. You know what I mean? So I love the idea of like seeking it out, the positivity about it, and seeking it out to bolster you up, especially on the days when it's like, okay, it didn't go well today. Yeah.
So I do have another question, because I know you have a daughter, and I know there are parents watching. I have two sons, but they don't like to wear short haircuts. Yeah. My youngest has a high top fade. He's so, bless his heart. And then my oldest is really like flowing, froing it out. And so for parents of children with natural hair, or for children who decided that want natural hair, how do we not perpetuate the negative thoughts, the negative misconceptions? How do we not pass those things onto our children, where they are then inheriting this level of insecurity, or this burden of not feeling enough, or not feeling like their hair is good? How do we end the cycle of the good hair misconception? How do we end the cycle of the your hair is nappy misconception? How do we create a safe space within our homes for our children and ourselves, so that we don't perpetuate the negative things or the negative societal messages that we may have received?
That's an awesome question, because this is like a whole, key to it, is that we can stop this. You know what I mean? I think when we're talking about hair trauma in and of itself is a very unsettling or disturbing emotional experience, or like a life-threatening experience. For us, this, ongoing messages has been the unsettling emotional experience that I think rises to the level of a trauma, for sure. And so first thing with trauma and reversing it is creating the safe space. So I love that you said that. And I don't know how, different people do theirs, but again, going back to some of our ancestral ways, creating ritual around the hair care, I think is super important. My child and I never talk as much as when we're doing hair, and looking at it as a time to like, let our space be clean. Like Roxanne said, to that point, like, let's make sure that we have the time and space to even like do this in a way that can be bonding and calm. You know what I mean? A pleasant experience. It's because, she's moving into like the teen years. So it's, conversation and stuff changes, but it's a nice time for her to like tell me about new artists that she's into, or things that have happened in school. And everyone knows that like the person who does your hair is like kind of like a pseudo therapist anyway. So it's even much more so when it's like parent-child time. I think, staying away from the words, the specific words that we used to hear, like nappy and X, Y, and Z, or showing exasperation because, it's taking so long. And, and it's interesting. My daughter's hair is huge. I mean, it's like a mass of hair. Her hair is completely different than mine, the texture, like totally. And I'm like, what is this? As she got older, you go from like little like baby hair to like, big girl hair. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this, because it's totally different than my hair. The products are basically opposite what we have to use and everything. And so there was a while where I had to make sure that I wasn't projecting my own frustration about my hair onto her. And that I took the time to educate myself on how our strands are different. And which was actually a really cool process. I'm a science nerd. We both are science nerds. So, I turned it into like, let's see if your hair floats in this water in my sinks, and that's about porosity. And this is how, X, Y, and Z. So, being able to, embrace how they present, and then also to check messages that they get from outside, because you can be super loving at home, but we still have to go outside and deal with messages. So, anything from people at school making fun of it because maybe a style didn't come out, or, product is showing in their hair and they're embarrassed, or definitely, like I said, with my daughter and her hair, is, when you're going to get it braided and they say, when you come, make sure you wash it and you blow it out and everything, right? The whole place goes, oh, because she has so much hair. Oh my God. Or like if a person's coming who's like supposed to be getting braided after her, and they're like, we're almost done. They look at her hair and they're like, oh my gosh, like it's going to be forever because she has so much hair. So I just have to say, you have to celebrate that you have this huge mass of gorgeous hair, and they just going to have to wait. And they just have to do what they have to do. Mommy's going to pay them to braid it, and you don't be ashamed of it. It's amazing. And I think it does help that she's got positive images to look to, because, our hair is very different, and her she has family members who have the identical hair. So she can celebrate it because I'm like, your hair looks just like your auntie so-and-so, like it's the same hair. And that has built some pride in her too. So I think that shows the power of why generationally it's important for us to be brave enough to have our natural hair so our kids can say, oh, well, you know, that was just normal in my family. Everybody's hair is natural. Like, you know what I mean? It's just our hair. That kind of thing. Yeah.
No, I think that's really good. One of the things that I can appreciate, I'm thinking about it now and it's kind of funny, but through every stage of my hair journey, our whole family actually did it. Now I think I had a Jerry curl, y'all. Y'all might be figuring out how old I am now, but when we got a curl, all of my aunties had a curl, all of my cousins had a curl, me and my sisters had a curl, except for my youngest because she was too young. Then when that reverse came out, all of my aunties got a reverse. All of my cousins got a reverse. Me and my sisters got a reverse. So I think it was power in that because, listen, you can laugh at me, but my cousin bigger than me, and she got the same hairstyle I do. So you can get it if you want to. So, but it was like affirming because I never looked around, and then I was alone. And my older sister went natural first. And then, but she went natural. Now our hair is completely, none of the three of us have the same kind of hair, but she went natural first, then I went natural, then my younger sister went natural. But like, there is actually, again, that whole community thing, there is power in not having to be alone through any process or point of your journey. There is power in not having to be alone, but then not only is there power, but you have somebody to look to, whether they're struggling or whether they're doing well, like, hey, to see what is possible, which is why the positive images, which is why the positive words, which is why the positive environments and the power of community is so important, because we need these positive reminders to build a bank from. When we don't know the positive words to say, then we might have a positive sis in that community that is like, hey, this is how I reframed my thoughts. This is how I thought differently. This is how I worked through this situation. So now we have things to draw from that help us to get to a place where then we can use other people's positive thoughts, use other people's positive affirmations and affirming thoughts to then start reciting those things so that we can build that bank of positivity, that then it becomes a natural habit for ourselves. So what is a positive affirmation that we as girlfriends can use on ourselves daily, so that we can start to build that positive, those positive words, those positive thoughts, that positive bank, so that we can get to a place where then positivity
I love that you said that. When I was thinking about reframes, I just jotted down a few, and I was like, okay, what would be some of the negative thoughts, and then what would be some of the answers back to that? Right. So if we were talking about just like positive mantras about it, for instance, I had things down like, my hair is healthy and I'm learning styles that I believe complement me, or I'm focusing on learning how to make my hair healthy, or I celebrate how my hair ties me to my lineage, my family, etc. Or I celebrate, this is my main thing, I celebrate the divine design with which I was created or made. Like, I really, you know, it's like, I feel like you're fully you when you can be fully you in the way that you were made, and celebrate that. And so I'm just like, but this is just me, you know? And so being able to, I remember like earlier on in my hair journey, looking at my hair pictures from when I was really young. And I was like, that little fro was just really cute. You know what? I'm going back to that because that's just me. You know what I mean? So something that you know, the positive thoughts need to be something that when you make positive thoughts, don't ever put any like negative words in it at all. Not like any don'ts or can'ts or anything like that in your positive statement. But experiment with positive statements that resonate with you and that you can see yourself putting on. Do you know what I mean? To wear and to actually like grow into. And then you just keep saying them over and over again. But, you know, for me, it's sometimes, you know, focusing on the fact that this is my design. That's my thing that I, you know, like. And for me, and to me, that's tied to, like, for me personally, you know, growing up as a dark-skinned girl in the South at the time that I did was like you got to say some stuff to yourself to be okay, you know? So that was all part of it. And it's cool to see the community grow and the appreciation grow. Mm-hmm. I decided to go natural while I was at Spelman because I was absolutely fascinated with some of my friends' hair. I was like, it's so beautiful. It's a shame that we don't let it flourish and know how to, we like have no relationship with our hair. We don't even know this hair. And so that was some of the things that encouraged me. But yeah, think of things that you can say that feel like the right fit for you. But basically, I'm learning how to cherish my hair. I come from a long line of whatever with hair, like anything that you feel that is positive and resonates with you.
No, and I think that's so good. And I really like I'm learning to appreciate my divine design. I think that is ultimately what I'm trying to help people do so that they can flourish in that area once they appreciate and accept that divine design, because it truly is divine, and we are created in a way that allows us to carry out that purpose. Right. We just got to get the junk out the way first so that we can truly appreciate this divine design, and so that then we can step into it in its fullness and in its beauty, and then carry out whatever purpose we were called to do in this life. And so thank you very much, Dr. Natasha. This was fun, and I think it was very informative. So, girlfriends, if you learn nothing else, or if you take nothing else away from this, one, know that whatever struggle you may have on your journey, whatever bad hair days you may have, whatever missteps you may experience, you're not alone. First of all, there's a whole community of girlfriends out here that have had the same struggles, that are willing to embrace you with open arms. Listen, Bold Culture Beauty is here and willing to embrace you with open arms. But we also have the power to dismantle every negative thought, to dismantle every misconception, to dismantle everything that has previously set us on this path of undervaluing, devaluing, not being able to fully embrace and love our natural hair. And it is as simple as reframing those negative thoughts, finding a positive that we can actually latch on to and hold on to, and then saying that positive thing consistently and repeatedly until it becomes part of the fabric of our life and our natural hair journey. And then taking the time to immerse ourselves in positivity and to learn more and build a relationship with our natural hair so that we can become the expert, and so that the negative thoughts and the negative misconceptions and the negative words and messages will no longer have power over us on this journey. And so, curl friends, I appreciate you for rocking with us through this discussion. I hope that you have found value in it and that it has helped you. If you are on your natural journey and you would love to be a part of a community, you would love to connect with someone who is committed to helping you get to a place where you can feel better and be more confident on your natural journey. If you already love your hair, but you need some help working some things out, you need some help reframing, you need some help, some tools, some advice on products, I'm here, ready, willing, and able to serve you. And I will want nothing more for you to get to a place where you can save time, build confidence, and make natural hair care easy. So definitely shoot me a DM, follow the link in my bio, and let's get you to a place where you get your power back. If you already love your hair, where you build more strength and more power and more confidence in the love that you have for your natural hair, and where you fully step into a place where you can be your best self, live your best life, and ultimately make natural hair care easy.
Thank
you so much, Dr. Natasha.
So thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. I love, like, every time we get back together, it's like we've always entered into a new space in life, and it is just so amazing to just see the growth, to see how we've all blossomed and stepped into this fullness of who we are supposed to be and who we were called to be, and that we're rocking our natural hair in the process. So, I one, adore you, and I really appreciate you for taking time out of your Saturday morning to join us in this discussion. I thank you for the gems and the tips that you dropped, and I appreciate you for helping us get to a place where we can reframe the negativity, where we can build our positivity muscle, and where we can live our best lives. So thank you so much. Thank you to all the curl friends that joined us, and y'all have a beautiful rest of your weekend.
Crystal. Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you.